Introduction. As the word suggests, an influencer is a person who can persuade their followers to change their behavior, which gives them a certain amount of control over the purchasing power of their audience on any given social media platform. There are three types of influencers on the internet today, and it depends on the size of their followers. Micro-influencers have less than 10,000 followers and can help reach a specific niche audience. This might be a small club, but the audience loyalty is strong. Power middle influencers have less than 250,000 but more than 10,000 followers. They are not as big as international celebrities but have a considerable amount of influence over their followers. These influencers also have partnered with brands in the past and have some of that commercial experience. Macro influencers are the third kind and have more than 250,000 followers. Typically, they are YouTube or Instagram celebrities and have a huge following. But it is possible that they don't have the same level of credibility as power middle influencers, which means their impact in terms of changing buyer behavior won't necessarily be directly proportional to the size of their following. To begin with, influencers came into existence because it is an incredibly difficult task for brands to get and hold the attention of users on social media. As Aaron Sorkin puts it, this theater of short attention span is a hard one to capture. It is also because there are a number of brands with an online presence and the competition is quite fierce. With everyone bombarding customers with their products and services, it has become hard for users to make a decision. And the amount of self-promotion brands do hasn't helped their case much either, because this has only made the customer skeptical. So, there came a need for an innovative marketing strategy that did not include them talking about themselves. In short, they needed someone that customers would trust to give them a thumbs up. While celebrity endorsements have been around for that same reason, some influencers are more authentic with their followers for the sake of their own credibility. This has led to brands and influencers joining hands to make the best of the situation. But every marketing strategy needs a plan. And as popular or effective as an influencer might be, they are not the exception to this rule. Influencer marketing can achieve some very specific goals that are beneficial to both parties. Conclusion. Influencer marketing is one of the most rewarding investments if you are trying to sell a product or service to a demographic that spends a good deal of time on the internet. And since we live in the 21st century, that is the biggest chunk of the population. If internet land was a country, it would be the biggest in the world, and as a marketer, that's the one you want to capture. You need to understand what social media influencers are all about. You need to know how they operate and where you fit in their scheme of things. You need to understand their values and see which one fits your brand the best. This takes research, effort, and planning. Once you have a list of influencers, it takes some more work to figure out who suits your product and the campaign you want to launch. You need to recognize the target audience and find the individual that has the most influence on their purchasing power. Once you get there, you need to negotiate a deal with the influencer. Be clear about the goals of the campaign. Write them down clearly and unambiguously in the contract. Keep the communication lines open and support your influencer in the vision they have, vis-a-vis the content they think will work on the demographic you want to conquer. And when the campaign comes to an end, make sure everyone is back to the drawing table to look at the results. Compare the final outcome to the goals set by both parties at the beginning of the campaign. Use quantifiable parameters to see if the collaboration worked. If you did it right, it would have worked. That's a sign that you should plan more campaigns with the same influencer, since you are now familiar with each other's rhythms. What is influencer marketing? Customers are moving away from traditional marketing because they understand that celebrity endorsement is a marketing strategy and doesn't actually mean that the celebrity recommends or has even used the product or service they are endorsing. That's why they are more inclined to find fresh voices on the internet. So, here are a few ideas in any brand starter kit when it comes to collaborating with an influencer on a social media platform. Paying the individual for sponsored posts that are clearly marked as such. Giving them exclusive access and striking a deal with them to post X number of reviews, which increases brand awareness and reach. Give influencers merch or discounts on merch and getting an honest review. How this works. Individuals who can recommend your brand in a way that makes it more palatable to potential customers. This is how influencers deal with brands. They are essentially content creators that want to make stuff that is likable and shareable. They create material that you can repurpose for your mainstream promotional channels, like email marketing to name one. But influencer marketing is not restricted to social media posts and videos. You can think of product reviews, product placements in their content, unboxing videos, promoting your campaigns and new launches, sharing discounts and coupon codes, announcing giveaways, partnerships that go for more than one video or post, supporting influencer causes by taking part in their events, planting your product in their events. Types of influencer marketing. Here are 5 ways in which you can get started. 1. Contests. Depending on your pricing, you can allocate a portion of your budget to organize contests and giveaways. This can be a monthly event, but you can make it more frequent if you can afford to do so. 2. Create sponsored content. This is another popular way of getting users to engage with influencers and through them with your brand. It is a common marketing technique too. It gives you the opportunity to ask the influencer to endorse a particular product or service through their blog posts, images, or videos. 3. Content and product collaborations. This is a mirror image of celebrity endorsements. You can create products along with your influencer, which benefits both parties as well. It's a common practice in the fashion industry, where the entire line of products is launched with a celebrity. 4. Takeovers. This practice has been around for a while, but is picking up pace quite rapidly in recent times. You allow the influencer to take over your social media channels for a period of time. More often than not, it is for a day, but you can do it for a particular season marking a special occasion. 5. Reviews. This takes us back into the realm of traditional marketing, except your influencer is the one reviewing the product. You can strike a deal to make it a favorable review, or get an honest one. If you're gunning for a favorable review, you will have to offer a freebie, but they will have to do a full disclosure to their audience. What is a social media influencer? Influencers can come from many different sources online. Here are the most popular avenues. 1. Bloggers. Microblogging is a big part of the influencer marketing pie. These individuals have a very active and credible relationship with their followers, something that brands are actively looking to tap into. 2. YouTubers. Since making videos is now an integral part of every marketing strategy, it's only logical that you explore this space with your influencer. In fact, it is wise to remember that more people are inclined to watch videos on their phones than read text material. 3. Podcasters. This is the other half of the audio-visual spectrum. It's newer than some other forms of creating content, but it is quickly becoming very popular. 4. Social posts. Now, you can't be a social media influencer without an active and dominant presence on social media. So, whether you're looking for a blogger or a podcaster or a YouTuber, you will find them on social media platforms. What makes them good influencers? But how do you know who is a good influencer? One who has their finger on the pulse of their audience and can help do the same for your brand. Well, here are a few things that all good influencers know they need to do to keep their follower base happy. 1. Conceptualize their niche and brand. They need to find a product and then sell it to their followers. But not everyone needs to reinvent the wheel. More often than not, they identify niches that are already popular and provide insights in their unique voice. 2. Make the most of the right social media platforms. Influencers find their audience on social media through trial and error. But once they start creating and posting content, a good one takes feedback from the followers. They ask them to engage with the post on both likes and dislikes, and take that into account while creating the next post. 3. Identify their target audience skillfully. The trial and error process mentioned in the previous step is critical to identifying the follower base, no matter what the influencer's niche. Their ability to do that is what makes them good at their social media game. That is because influencers are brands themselves, and they must be as good as you in identifying their audience. 4. Create content that's exciting and marketable. And this is what makes or breaks an influencer. They need to be able to win the top-of-the-mind recall game. This means their content has to be both exciting and they need to have the ability to sell it to their audience. 5. Write titles that are algorithm-friendly and add the right tags. All the above-mentioned qualities will produce no results if the influencer is not tech-savvy. This is entirely a technological game. So, if they have the best post or video of all time, but do not know how to gain visibility on said platforms, they lose the game. Why influencer marketing works so well for businesses. There are lots of reasons why this marriage between brands and individual content creators who are seen as voices of authority in their niche is advantageous to businesses. The list can be unending, but here are the essentials if you need convincing on the benefits of influencer marketing. 1. Precise targets. Every marketing idea aims at gathering as many relevant visitors to the website as possible. But to get there, you need to find an audience who will be interested in your product or service and are most likely to buy what you have to offer. If you don't target the right crowd, you might get visitors to the website, but you won't be able to turn them into paying customers. 2. Improves brand awareness. Whether you are an established brand in the market or a relatively unknown one, there is always new ground to break, even in the demographics you think you have conquered. Influencers are extremely useful thanks to their reach. They are the perfect tool to reach new audiences and increase brand awareness. Every time they promote your brand, their followers will notice it. And depending on the type of influencer you choose, I listed 3 types in the beginning, you have a good shot at being perceived as more authentic. 3. Boosts audience engagement. Speaking of engaging with the audience in a meaningful way, engagement is a technical term in social media parlance. It is a metric that calculates how involved the audience is with your content based on likes, comments, shares, etc. Building this is a long-term game and can be quite the task. And without meaningful engagement, it won't matter if your page has a lot of followers. This is where influencer marketing can help your brand. 4. More viewers turn into buyers. You want brand awareness and would like to increase your reach, but the final goal is to increase sales and profits from these marketing strategies. In the business, that's referred to as conversion rate. 5. Credibility and trust levels increase. Speaking of influence, these individuals only have this kind of influence because of the trust they have cultivated with their follower base over a period of time. So, when you pick the right influencer, you are able to cash in on that and gain some of that trust for your brand too. This has the capacity of getting you a loyal customer base over time. 6. Rejigs content strategy. Engaging with influencers might also open you up to new formats of content. They know what works with their audience and might have ideas that will help your brand with the kind of market you're seeking to capture. 7. Better ranking in terms of SEO. When you engage with influencers with real influence on the purchasing power of their followers, you make appearances on their platforms, whether that is a text-based blog post, newsletter, or video posts. Typically, these posts link back to your website, which brings their audience to your landing page. Search engines consider these legitimate tags and high-quality backlinks, which will improve your ranking. Defining your goals with influencer marketing. Now, there are 2 main reasons to get into influencer marketing. One is to improve brand awareness, and 2 is to get these aware individuals to buy your products or services. When you start building a strategy, you need to be more specific. You want to know how to find your target audience, which will, in turn, help you find the influencer who engages this demographic. Now, influencers have a very specific reach that is very useful to brands. They can be your voice in the niche that they conquer. So, you want to use their skills to get your message out. That's your medium. Here's how you narrow the above goals with the medium at hand. 1. Define specific KPIs. Key performance indicators, or KPIs, are a big part of defining the goals of influencer marketing. There are two aspects to deal with here: direct response and brand awareness. Direct response KPIs. Direct response influencer campaigns are created to get a response from the user right away. You are looking at a single factor in terms of the conversion rate. That means the influencer has one goal: brand awareness KPIs. Then there is the bigger narrative of improving brand awareness. 2. Increasing brand awareness. There are many ways to make specific goals to improve brand awareness. Here are a few strategies. Brand mentions. Your influencers can start by introducing the brand to their followers by talking about the things they relate to or like about it. Product reviews. Then there is the option of getting them to do product reviews through posts. This can be their original experience, which is more authentic and works well in terms of building credibility for the brand and maintains the influencer's integrity, which in turn helps you hold their attention. 3. Improving traffic. Then you get to driving traffic back to your website. This is a specific goal that involves getting customers who are likely to purchase the product or service. Here's how you get that done. Sponsored blog posts. Engagement is a key factor in increasing conversion rate. This means you need to connect with influencers who can write about your brand without losing the audience. Guest posts. I have also covered this aspect earlier in this book. Guest posts are a great way to write favorable content on popular blogs and add links that will bring their readers back to your website. Sponsored social media content. Research has shown that in the U.S. alone, 77% of the population uses social media, and creating high-quality content on these platforms is the perfect ingredient to the recipe of bringing the audience back to your website. 4. Sales and lead generation. Once you have the audience on your website, you need to generate ways of converting them into paying customers. Here are some strategies that help you make that leap. Collective shoutouts. This is a feature on Instagram which is a great tool in influencer marketing for 92% marketers. Find yourself an Instagram influencer and get them to promote your product or service. This helps create more leads and drive sales sooner than you could on other social media platforms. Affiliate marketing and discount codes. This is another popular way of campaigning using influencers. It's a win-win for customers and the influencer. Affiliate marketing gives the influencer a chance to make some money, which is an incentive for them. 5. Driving engagement. This ties back to the point of brand awareness. You can use that metric to increase engagement, which, once again, benefits both the brand and the influencer. Increasing your follower count by piggybacking on your influencer's follower size is a smart way to go about it. Takeovers. As mentioned earlier, this is a good way to strengthen your collaboration with the influencer and also engage with their audience. It has the potential to meet more than one goal at a time. 6. Reputation. A brand's reputation is often considered to be an intangible asset, but there is a way to strengthen it with potential customers. It is done by building partnerships that reflect the core values of the company. Host an event. The best way is to host an event and send invites to influencers who have a good track record with commercial campaigns. Send gifts. This is a good old sales method where you try to buy their affection. But if you are thoughtful and the gift is something they can use to create content, you might just get the bump you're looking for. It is one of the easiest ways to get in their good books. How to find effective influencers for your brand. Now you know what makes a good influencer. Here's how you find one that fits your brand. Well, this is not the exact recipe, but these are the factors you will be looking into. 1. Relevance. Before you start looking at their stats like reach and visitors, you need to make sure their content matches the interests of your audience and your brand perception. Because the influencer will be crafting the message, and you need your principles and messaging to be aligned. That is the key to reaching the demographic you want to capture. You should check their older posts and all social media accounts to get a sense of what they are like and the kind of crowd they attract. Also, check their engagement and see the kind of response they are getting and try to determine if that's what you want for your brand. 2. Engagement. That is not to say that the tangible metrics are not important. When you are in the process of picking an influencer, you must look at the response they elicit from their followers. Look at the percentage of the audience that tends to return to the influencer, and compare these numbers to the new followers they gather week after week. 3. Reach. This is a number that a lot of brands look at right away. It's an important one, but is not number one on the list for a reason. You must consider unique visitors coming to the influencer on your list, but you must not consider that to be the most effective way of measuring reach. The number of new followers and traffic can only tell you about the relationship to a certain extent. 4. Frequency. There is a direct relationship between the blogger's posts and the number of visitors who return to the blog. This is applicable to many niches, and the rate of return depends on the quality of posts. That's how you measure how good their content is. It is a fact that any influencer needs to prove to be good multiple times for the audience to return and click on their hyperlinks. 5. Authenticity. This sounds like another tangible factor, but it is not. Some bloggers who post sponsored content are actually perceived to be more trustworthy. The key to making that happen is in the narrative. Those who create content with stories that deserve a mention of the product or service are better liked than those who do a straightforward review. Readers don't look at reviews unless they are already looking to buy that specific product. How to contact influencers and how to negotiate a deal. After you have found the influencer of your choice, you have the task of convincing them to collaborate with you. These negotiations need to be handled with enough care because it is a case where both parties absolutely need to benefit. One of the reasons is because you don't want to be the brand that influencers dislike and badmouth. Another reason is that building content with the same influencer is a better approach to building your brand, no matter the demographic. 1. Do your research. According to 61% of marketers, it is quite a challenge to find an influencer that matches the brand and the campaign. And if that decision goes south, that is only the first of many things that will eventually lead to the failure of the campaign. There are quite a few tools that will help you find such influencers, but the best way to go about it is to go through the social media accounts of the influencers. And while evaluating them, you must keep these factors in mind. Quality of the content, follower count, rate of follower engagement, fit for your brand, demographics of the audience. 2. Offer perks. If you run a company that does not have a huge budget for influencer marketing, you don't have to bow out of the game altogether. Sometimes monetary compensation is not the only way. You can strike a decent deal with an influencer by getting creative with what you have to offer. 3. Follow the metrics. It is very good practice to keep an eye on the numbers right from the beginning. Keep your influencer in the loop about the progress. This way, at the end of the campaign, you will be able to do an analysis of what worked and what didn't. Based on how that conversation goes, you can make a judgment call on whether or not you want to do another collaboration with the same influencer. 4. Think about repurposing this content. It's important to remember that some of this content might come in handy. For instance, if you're doing an Independence Day or Thanksgiving special, some, if not all of it, can be used again. Sometimes, that part is just one element of the content, like the templates made for the graphics. You want them to create different content for different platforms, but some items, once again like graphics, have the potential for reuse. 5. List deliverables in the proposal. This is a very important one. Just the way you define your goals right in the beginning, put the deliverables on paper too. Your negotiations will be a lot simpler when you can set the tone of the relationship right away. 7 things to avoid in a potential influencer campaign. A guide is never complete if you don't warn of the mistakes that are commonly made, even though they are easily avoidable. Here are 7 of them you should absolutely run from. 1. Not defining campaign goals and KPIs. If you don't define the goals clearly, you don't know what to compare the end results with. This rule applies to every kind of marketing, and the influencer market is no exception. In fact, this branch of marketing is a lot more organic and has room for a lot of creativity. But the basics must be in place so that the success of the creative experiments can also be measured. 2. Choosing unvetted influencers. When planning a campaign with an influencer, this is one of the first mistakes many brands make. You want to pick someone in your niche. But that's not the only factor, as we saw in the previous chapter. Picking a popular name from your niche is lazy work. You want someone who has an original voice that is a good fit for your brand. They must agree with your core values and hopefully like your vision and believe in your product too. You are essentially picking a brand ambassador. You want someone with a good track record and reputation in the industry. Why? Because you don't want your influencer to go rogue on you during or after the campaign. 3. Cold outreach. Contacting individuals you don't know is a process called cold calling. This practice has been around for a long time and is still actively used. This is the first step for many marketers, even when it comes to finding influencers. If you're one of those, bad news. This doesn't always fetch you the results you're hoping for. 4. Bad contracts. If you want to protect your brand from a failed influencer marketing campaign, draw an efficient contract. This is a document that has a record of all the things both parties agreed to. 5. Cheap promotion. Don't try to get more for less. This is not a case where offering inadequate compensation has any chance of a win for you. The only scenario where this might possibly work is if the brand is established and well recognized, but the influencer isn't. And in those cases, the collaboration is more likely to fail than succeed. 6. Stifling their creativity. Don't tell your influencer what kind of content must be created. That's their area of expertise. Plus, if it comes from your team, you might as well place a traditional ad. The idea behind using an influencer is to use their voice, which resonates with their followers. It keeps them authentic, which continues to maintain the trust they have with their audience. Trust that will transfer to your brand if you just let them do their thing. 7. Neglecting video content. Every branch of digital marketing must include a budget for video marketing. This is particularly applicable if you have a limited budget. Making videos is not always a cheap affair, and you must remember that original content is a lot better than curated stuff. How to track and measure an influencer marketing campaign. This is the last leg of the adventure, and as you can tell, it comes after the campaign or collaboration comes to an end. You need a tangible way of measuring the success of this partnership, and this is how it's done. 1. Reach. This is the very first metric you want to look at. You need to start by looking at where your brand was before you launched the campaign, and where the reach is at once the campaign has come to an end. The rise or drop in the reach tells you how far your message has traveled, and how many buyers entered the fold. This can be calculated by looking into your KPIs. Start with the follower count of your influencer. While some are obviously other brands and a few bots, you will have a fair idea of the growth during this time period. For this reason, it's helpful if the influencer was working exclusively with your brand. It's not the best indicator, but it can give you an idea. You get a peek into the times your post showed up on your target audience's timelines by looking at the impressions. You can also look at the traffic the content is brought in from the influencer's profile, and it is an extremely reliable indicator of measuring reach. 2. Target audience growth. Then there is growth. It's one of the biggest factors in influencer marketing and otherwise too. Here, however, growth in a particular demographic is everything. You want to see if your sponsored content is hitting your target audience. Google Analytics will tell you the precise numbers. These numbers will also tell you if the influencer's brand messaging was on point. That's incredibly useful in measuring the success of the campaign. However, you must remember to look at these numbers 30 to 60 days after the campaign is started to make sure the numbers have steadied themselves. This is very true for sponsored posts, because while the sales start to come in after the first few days, potential customers check promo codes and affiliate links only after a few weeks, unless there is a time component to the offer. 3. Coupon codes and affiliate link. Speaking of discounts and affiliate links, these numbers are not only very easy to track, but are also a reliable way of measuring the results of the campaign. You learn which influencer has been effective in bringing paying customers back to your website. If you've used promo codes in your campaign, You will be able to track sales and also repeat purchases, which is also an added piece of information. You will also get insights like click-through rate, CTR, which is a terrific measure of the influencer's success in bringing customers to the fold.